Hey, everybody watching, which I don't think is anybody. I am Charles Davis. I am creator of Obey the Insect God, the video game available now on Steam. Going to be available on Glitzy later in the month as well, but available now on Steam. I'm kind of doing an impromptu stream right now because some people had asked, like on Reddit, for me to like show how I make digitized sprites and things like that. And I'm working on a new game. You know, I've talked about this in the last stream we did. And so while I was just about to get up and do a little work this afternoon before we go out this evening, and I'd like, oh, you know what? Maybe I could just stream this while I'm working on some of this stuff, just to sort of do a little tease of what I do and how I work on this stuff when I'm making digitized sprites for the next game. There will be obviously some spoilers on like what the character I'm playing is going to look like in the next game, but that's not really a spoiler. If you follow any of my social media accounts or Chunkle Freaky social media accounts, you'll have seen this already. So, you know, all I'm going to do today, I think, is just walk through. I'm working on close-ups. So if you played Insect God, you'll know the close-ups is that it's a green screen, the character's kind of sideways, and they talk, and you see their. Whoop, sorry, just ruined this. You see their. You see their emotions, so and all that stuff. So for my character, we recorded on this week. I think we recorded on Tuesday. We recorded on Tuesday. My character's close-ups. So I'm just processing the animations right now. Right now, this is me. Well, I guess I can get into it. So this is just my After Effects I've opened up. This is the original green screen footage. What I'm going to be doing is making a loop out of the green screen footage, including the transitions in and out, and then I'm going to export it as PNG sequences, and I'm going to try to do that for like 3 today. So I'm just going to do that. I'll work on this. I'll try to narrate as much as I can as I'm going through it. These are probably not going to be the final. These might not be the finals that, you know, I go in, I play around things. When I put it in the engine, it looks different, and I'd like, no, I don't like that. I go back and change things, all that stuff. But this just, you can just take this as like a basic demonstration of how I typically do this. And this is basically the same way I did it in Insect God, in terms of taking like green screen footage from a video and then turning it into the actual like digitized sprites you see inside the game. So if anybody has any questions, if anybody's even watching, feel free to ask. But I figured it'd be good to record this and just make this a video that's available for people to watch. It'll be on the YouTube channel. If you're not watching on Twitch, I'm streaming on the Insect God YouTube channel and the Chunkle Freaky YouTube channel. Things will probably be more focused on the Chunkle Freaky YouTube channel for streams, by the way, moving forward, just because we finished Insect God game. So I felt this was relevant enough to include on the Insect God YouTube channel too, but we'll probably be shifting away from that and doing more of the Chunkle Freaky stuff, as the focus is now becoming more on, you know, the new game. If there's any relevant Insect God stuff that comes up, that'll be an Obey the Insect God YouTube channel too. I think for now what I'm doing is I might do them both though, just to demonstrate. But anyway, the point is, so I have this footage here, and basically what I did is I stood in front of the camera, and Josie, my wife, who you all know from the stream, was sitting and just yelling out different emotions for me to display, and then I would do them in multiple weights, if you will. So like a light emotion, a medium emotion, a heavy emotion, and then I'm going to take these, try to make little 1 to 2 second loops out of them with transitions to and from an idle animation, and then I'll export them to PNG sequences, which are just like the photographs, like actual individual transparent PNG sequences. So yeah, I'll get started on that. And like I said, if anybody's watching, you can poke in and leave a comment, and I'll try to answer what I can. But I do most of this in After Effects. As I said, this I filmed. I got a new camera. I'm using a GoPro Mission, the new GoPro Mission, to record the footage. So this is my garage. We just painted green. It has been like that for many years. And we just set up the camera, and it's actually great. It's actually been really, really good. As good as I was using a 5D Mark III camera for Insect God for this next game, which, you know, I'll try not to spoil names and things like that yet, because we haven't decided on the final name. You know, the footage looks just as good. It's easier to use, frankly, than the 5D Mark III. My 5D Mark III was very old and it died finally. So I was contemplating, like, okay, should I spend like all this friggin', you know, thousands of dollars to buy a new one? Like, do we even really need it for what we're doing? And then the new GoPros come out, and I was like, okay, for like, you know, hey Moro, good to see you. This is not a gaming stream. This is a making sprites stream. Thank you for popping in for a second to say hello, and I hope you're having a wonderful night over in Japan. And I'm hoping your translator can understand what I'm saying. But what I was saying is that the for like a fraction of the price, I could buy the new GoPro, so I did that. I'm charging it over there right now. Video footage looks great. I recorded this in 4K. I'm going to export it in 1080p, not 4K, because I just don't... The 4K is too big. I can't even use it. 1080p, once it's exported to, I'm going to shrink it down even more. But I'm finding when I export the stuff as working the stuff with the 4K image and then kind of export it as 1080p images, it looks better than recording it in 1080p and then exporting it as 1080p. So that's why I did that. I don't know exactly why that is, but that's how it is. So, first things first, this, I believe this emotion that I'm showing now is, in the character, is, surprise. So we're going to do surprise light, surprise medium, surprise heavy, and I'll try to export those and make loops out of them. So we'll start here. I think you'll hear Josie shouting directions out at me at the beginning. Oh, I actually don't have the audio on. Hold on. Let's see. I can turn this audio up probably. Let's see here. That's a hard one.
Yeah, it is hard. Surprised. Low.
Okay, so this is me doing the surprise animation. So the way I do this is I always move to and from idle. So I have a base idle animation where I'm just kind of flat-faced and emotionless, and then this is, so you'll see me going in and out of that kind of idle state to whatever the emotion is. And so I have to go through some footage here. First I have to decide which take do I like, and then isolate that take. So we're gonna do that. So I'll shrink this down a little bit, and we'll see for all the lights for surprise. So we'll start here. You can kind of see me in the idle animation, and I have what the idle looks like here. I always keep like just for like to match things to. I always keep just one of the images of the base like idle animation here available, so I can kind of go back and forth while I'm mapping things here. That's what the idle state looks like. So we're kind of there in the idle state. Then I'll shrink that down for this clip. I've been working on these for a few days now, so you see a lot of these. I'll turn it off right now. So let's go through and look and see which one we like, which take we like. So there's... that's kind of more where it starts. So we'll start with the idle here. Let's find a take we like for light. I think it's a little too intense. Okay, so idle there. Does that take? There's a lot of just looking at this. It's going to be a lot of going back and forth to make a decision here. I think it's medium. You can see my mouth. Let's double check here. Yeah, he says medium. So that's when I go into medium. So one of these takes is going to be the light take. I think my mouth needs to be closed because it's just a light version of the surprise take. That doesn't look too surprised to me. That looks pretty good. That one I like. And then the final one he does in the sequence, in the takes I did, was that. Do I like that? Or do I like that? That looks a little more surprised to me. I like how my eyes are looking they're a little wider in that. I kind of like that. And a little more clear. So I think I'm going to do this one. Where's the other one? No, that doesn't look, he looks more concerned there. This is, by the way, if you ever edited something, this is what you do. You just go back and forth over and over and over again. Looking at takes over and over and over again until you decide things. By the way, I hear there are like some directors out there that will do things where they'll be like, we take 100 or 60 to 100 takes for every shot we do, and I'm like, I don't see how that's even feasible to edit, because when I edit things, this is what I'm doing like so much over and over and over again, is being like, do I like one or do I like two? Do I like one or do I like two? And I'm sitting here like endless amounts of time trying to make those decisions and then processing it. So this was like 5 takes or whatever, you know. we've already been streaming for like 10 minutes. You're seeing it's taking me a bit of time to decide on that. If you had like 60 to 100 takes for every shot you did, I don't even know how you'd feasibly be able to look at all this footage and be able to do that. So I'm always a bit skeptical with like, all these filmmakers and directors and stuff like that who like do these like insane amounts of takes. I'm just like, how's the poor editor even supposed to like process that? It seems impossible. I don't know how that works, but anyway, I'm going on a tangent now. I should focus. Okay, so that's medium. So do I like this? Or do I like that? Do I like this? Or do I like that? Which is more... He looks... I'm going to say that looks more surprised. I think that looks more surprised to me. That or that? That or that? 1 or 2? Back to the left. Back and to the left. That seems more clear. I'm going to go to the last one. I think I like the last one the most. So we'll start there. We're going to find our starting point here. So the way I do this, I'm going to cut the clip there. I'll delete the stuff I'm not using, and I'll find when he transitions back out to idle, which is there. So I'm recording effectively 3 things at once I'm trying to get here. So I've isolated my clip now. And by the way, you just do this by Control-Shift-D to like cut the clip in at a certain point. Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to it tomorrow. Please wait minimum 6 years for it to come out. I have been working on it for not even a month yet, so we got some time, but I'm looking forward to it too, and I appreciate your love and support. Okay, so there's 3 things I'm doing here. There's a transition in to the emotion. There's the emotion which loops, and then there's a transition out, back to idle. Everything always returns to idle. So it starts at idle and returns to idle. So I need to isolate where the transition happens, the loop for the emotion, which will just loop until I need to pull the animation out of it in the actual engine when you're playing like the game in the cutscene, and then back to idle. So you can see it here. That there where he just goes like that. That's the transition in. Oh, that's the transition in. Then I'll have to pick something in here for the loop, and then out. Out is going to be just that little second there. Now, one rule I have for myself that I found just from managing memory and things like that and just file sizes is try to keep exports and animations and stuff like that to like 1 to 2 seconds at most, 2 seconds at the most. Try to get like the more you can cut it down to the amount of time the animation is, the easier it's going to be to manage on multiple levels. So that's one thing I was looking at. Now, before I do this, though, I want to green screen things out. Now, one thing I've done is I've already green screened. I had previous emotions I did here. This is the end result. This is confused. So I've already green screened it out. So what I can do to kind of cheat here is I can just copy and paste the key light, which I'll do because I want to match that. But I'll show you how before I do that, I'll kind of just show you how I green screen things. You go to Effects, you go to Keying, you go to Key Light, and then you click on your little dropper here, and then you click on your green screen. Then adjust the gain up and down to kind of get all the little kind of, because, obviously as you can see here, this is not perfectly lit garage. There's going to be stuff that kind of sticks out because, working with what you got. If we were doing this the real way, you would have a flat, surface with no shadows or bumps or anything, just a flat, completely chroma green surface. You'd have a backlight lighting the back of it. You'd have a light lighting the back of the actor to separate from the green. You'd have a light on the actor, all that stuff. I don't get any of that. We just got 3 lights. We shine them. We have a tiny little space to work in, and I painted my garage. This is all we got to work with, so we're trying to make it work. So, but anyway, you go to key it out. You keyed it out, and there's gonna be spots here. So you try to get I try to get as many spots as I can out. The screen gain, I'll adjust that. I'll adjust the screen balance down to get a little more of the green out of the actual image. Then I like going to the screen matte here, and I'll adjust the clip black up and the clip white down because it just tends to make it cleaner a bit. And then, there used to be things I used to play with around a little bit with like the screen deposit black and the screen softness. I don't really do too much with it. I kind of just stop it there. I found that's kind of the best the image gets. And then from here, I'll frankly just take an eraser and erase if there's like really dark shadows I just can't green screen out. I'll just take an eraser and erase it. If there's like a lot of dots and stuff that keep popping because of like the little shadows and all the stuff from how badly lit my pack is, I will rotoscope the character out. They changed rotoscoping. I think it's called now Object Matte. That's like a new change like within the last Adobe After Effects release. And then you effectively just select the character and it'll pop out the character. So I can do that too. This isn't too bad, but because saving myself time and because I have so much animations to process, I'm constantly trying to save myself time. I'd normally just copy and paste my previous work I did into there, and then I will go from here and I will just erase all the black spots. I already know where the black spots is. One thing when you're doing your eraser, make sure the brush, where's my brush here, is, where's my brush? Why can't I find my brush? Oh yeah. Make sure the hardness is 100% or else you'll get like, the spots won't completely delete. So there's a spot up there, and I saw previously there was a spot down here. One thing you do to kind of find all the spots is you click this button over here. You can change it from black to white so you can see if you're missing anything. Move that around. See if you're getting any particles or anything. Zoom in, all that stuff. I pretty much know where the spots are because I've already processed a bunch of the stuff here. So, all right, did that. We'll go back to our composition here. I'm gonna save. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to isolate the transitions in and out and the loop. So first we'll start with the transition in. So where does his face start to move? I'm gonna say it's about there. Now remember our main, this is what we're coming in and out of, is this here. I'm gonna turn off the volume there. So that's what we're going in, and I'm going to adjust the color and all that stuff. So we're going to have to match that stuff too. But that seems pretty good to me. That the transition is going to start there. Maybe when his eyes close, like here. So I'll cut the clip down. I'll drag the clip down to there. Then it seems to me like that would be the point where the animation then starts, like the loop, when his body's kind of like there. So I'll cut that there, and this will be the transition in. And then we're going to find our transition out. So when does he go back to idle? So that's when he goes back to idle. He starts the transition out probably like, I'll say right before he blinks. Right there. It's right there. Okay. And we'll deal with those in a second. And then I'm just going to move these kind of to the side for right now. Now we have to find our loop. So like I said, we only have about a second. So the thing you're trying to find with a loop is it needs to look like he has a little bit of movement or a little bit of breath to him to make him seem alive, but it can't be too much movement because then it'll look like he's kind of bouncing back and forth. So you sort of have to find the point where there's like a 1 second clip where he moves a little bit but not too much to make it kind of look okay. So you notice he kind of drifts back a little bit. I drifted back a little bit when I was doing this. So I'm going to say like maybe there. Because it looks like if I move this, if I'm trying to isolate like a 1 second sequence out of this. So if I start here, 3601, I think that's pretty good. And then I want 1 second, so I'll go to 3701. And the thing with this is that because I'm making a loop out of it, I only am going to be exporting the first half of the loop, because then what I'll do, and I'm just doing this to save space, frankly, is I'll just drag and drop the PNGs in reverse. Like I'll drag and drop all these into the what's called an animated sprite inside Godot. I'm using Godot 4, by the way. And then I'll just do it in reverse as well to make a loop, kind of make it go back and forth. It just saves you space. It's less sprites, less things to manage, it's a little bit of a hassle. It's a little bit extra, not too much, where you have to kind of drag and drop the reverse side of the loop in outside of the loop going in, but I would say that's worth it. Okay, so looking here, and what I do to test it though is I'll make a duplicate, Control D, and then I'm going to zoom in a little here. I will then go to this clip, match up, make sure they're flush with each other. I will time reverse layer, that, which makes it go in reverse. Then I will cut off the ends to make the loop sound look a little more clear. And the thing too, you want to, don't worry too much if you're doing this and you're making a loop about the how fast he's moving, or how fast the character is moving in the loop per se. I don't know, maybe that's not the right thing to say. If I want to slow down his breath or his slight body movements a little bit, I will still be able to do that inside the engine. This is the thing that's like really specific to loops. That you can do it with all animations. You can change the sprite, the frames per second on the specific animation. So if I get a nice loop and I want him a little slower or want him a little faster, I will be able to do that in the engine. So I'm not as concerned with that. I'm more just kind of capturing the performance and saying like, yeah, I kind of like that before I export. This is, you have to take a bit of a different philosophy with that though. When you're doing non-loop animations, then you do want to try and match the speed that the actual animation is going to be prior to exporting it into the engine, because it's just going to be less, it's less PNGs, less files you have to deal with, less RAM that gets taken up. You're always in a battle trying to save space and RAM and memory and things like that. So when you're doing action animations like attacks and things like that, and things that aren't loops, then it's not. You do want to try to get the speed of the actual animation to be close to what you think it's going to be in the game as much as you can. You can still adjust when you get into the game a little bit, but with loops, it's like a kind of an exception where it's. I want to nail that 1 second. I know it's going to be a 2 second loop. I'm only getting the first 1 second half. And then if I need to slow it down or speed up a little bit, I can do that in the engine. That's okay. So it's a little bit of an exception, or it's a little bit of a different perspective when you're doing loops in when you're doing loops versus like non-loop based animations. Okay, so let's see how this looks. I was doing it. Sometimes it does that for some reason, where it'll get a blink when it transitions out, but yeah, that looks good to me. You get a little bit of sway. So you see he's alive, and then the facial expression looks good to me. Okay, so we got that. So then I'm going to delete that reversed layer one. Then what we'll have here is I'm going to try to, as I said, when it's not a loop I'm rendering, I am going to try to get the animation to speed up to be closer to what the actual animation will be in the game, just to say sprites and memory. So I have the which means these transitions, because the transitions don't loop, I'm going to try to get them to a proper speed. Because normally it's going to be a little slow. This isn't too bad though, but yeah, so I feel like I can speed that up a little bit, because I don't want to spend too much time in the transitions. So I'll do it 70%. I'm speeding it up by 30%. I might do the same here, see how it looks. And this isn't going to be the end of this, because then we have to match the positions of everything so it looks a little more, it's not quite as jumpy. Yeah, that looks good. I like that. And I just have to scooch that back a little bit. So you see he's a little jumpy there when he comes in. So what I want to do is and this is where I'm going to stretch that out a little bit. This is where I put the, this one image of everything goes and backs to the idle. So here's a single still from the idle animation. I'm going to try to transition in and out, match the transitions in and out to that. So have them start kind of in the same position where the idle animation is, but then have them end where the loop is for this guy. So I'm going to move this back just a bit to have a little thing to work with. So here, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to animate, and we'll see how this works. This might not work. I might have to do some more adjustments here. But we're going to go here, open the clip for the transition, animate, put the little timer animation toggle on the position, and then I'm going to turn this back one off. So the back image here, you see there's kind of looped on top of each other. The back one is the transition. The one on top is the loop. I'm gonna just move with my mouse, not mouse, with the pointer. What the hell am I saying? The directional keys. I don't know. These whatever they're called, the up, down, left, right. I'm gonna just move it to the position I want it to be for when he writes about to go into a loop to make it look like a smooth transition doesn't jump. At least it's always gonna be a little bit jumpy. It's like never gonna be 100% perfect when you're doing things this way. At least how I do them. So you're gonna have to accept that, but you try to do what you can. So I moved it to there to kind of be flush, so that when I'm moving in and out of that, it looks a little smoother. You know what? Now as I'm doing this too, he's going from there. I feel like actually I can make this transition even a little shorter. So I'm going to move the positional animation back. And I'm going to cut this clip a little shorter. I'm going to move it forward a little bit, see if that makes the transition a little smoother, less jumpy. See what that does. Right there. Let me see here. No, he's a little too far. Do it like that. That's not too bad. Yeah, it's not too bad. Like I said, it's never going to be like exactly matched up. There's always going to, you have to kind of just accept there's going to be a little bit of jerk here and there, but you try to reduce it as much as you can. Just wondering. I can even go back even further though, because it's like as soon as his eyes get wide, reach wideness, that's sort of where it needs to happen actually. So I'm going to cut it back even further. See what that does. See how that looks. Oh, that's not too bad. It's a little fast. Maybe if I do that. Oh, I like that. There we go. Sweet spot. Yeah, it looks good. Or do I want one more? Sometimes if I zoom in a little. Guys, this is like what it's like when you're doing this stuff. You're just endless monotony trying to make decisions and feel it out from doing stuff like this. So I spend a lot of time just doing that. That I like. That's not too bad. It's like he twists a little. Like I said, and sometimes you can get really neurotic about this stuff and you just have to eventually say, well, it's good enough. It's never going to be 100%. It's almost like that's a little too much long in the transition. So let me try that. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty good. And again, you look at it 8,000 times and suddenly you're like, your brain doesn't process things anymore. If I move that. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think I like that. Okay, now I'm going to try to match. So I matched kind of this to where he moves from transitions into, you know, match as best as I can when he transitions into the loop. But now I have to transition him out of the idle state. So I'm going to try to match that up. I'm not worrying about, like, color. I have the color. I'll do the coloring and all that stuff in a minute to kind of match colors and stuff. But so if I am here... I'm going to now move this to try to match it kind of roughly to the position that and this might move too much, which I might have to figure something out if that's the case, because that happens sometimes. Isn't too bad. No, that's okay. From there to there. Look at he's kind of going backwards, but it's a surprise, so that's not too bad. Because what I'm doing is I'm animating the clip so it moves slightly over. Hello, Luffy Carter. I'm doing well. How are you doing? Working on making digitized sprites. FMV digitized sprites. And just doing a little quick stream today just to show, because some people were curious about the ins and outs of doing it. And as they can see, it is rather monotonous sometimes. So we've moved the transition from the idle state into the loop. You can hear my daughter screaming upstairs. I think she's fine. I think she's duo stream daily. You stream daily? I do not stream daily. No, we normally stream like once a week. We haven't done streams in a couple weeks because of the holiday here in the U.S. I don't know where you're located. And we're hoping to do another stream on Monday. So I guess maybe I'm doing multiple this week. We're in the U.S. And me and Josie are hoping to do Rise of the Dragon, which is this old Sega CD game I used to play a lot when I was a kid. And I really want to replay it. So for our first non-Insect God stream, we might do Rise of the Dragon. We'll see. Oh, Morrow, I should have shown you this shirt. It's in I forget. I don't know if you've left, but I have I have RoboCop in Japanese actually. Oh, I think you left though. I should have shown you that, Morrow. I'm sorry. You could have done the translations for me. Okay, so we have this transition out. So now we're going to transition. We're going to do the opposite side. We're going to transition. Or we transitioned into the loop. Now we're going to transition out of the loop. I mean, country, United States. I am from the United States. Where are you from? So we'll match here, and I'm gonna, because it distracts me sometimes. Nice to meet you too. Going to do, this transition actually doesn't look too bad as it is. Now that I think about it though, because I'm like trying to match up the. Oh, very cool. I went to college at Durham University. I lived in the UK for like a year and a half up in Yorkshire. My favorite game? Oh, God, I don't know. It's impossible for me to answer that. What's your favorite game? Okay, so I'm going to focus here. I think this transition's actually pretty good as it is, honestly. It's already kind of mapped up. Like when I watch this, it's pretty flush as it is coming out of the loop. So that's pretty good. Nice. I played Dark Souls a little bit. I played Elden Ring and Sekiro more. I played Elden Ring a lot. I can't say I'm great at it, but I did get to the final boss finally. Okay. So now we have to match up this end loop, or the transition here into back to the idle state, which means it's going to need to move a little bit. So we're going to animate the position here from the loop back to the idle. We'll do that, and then we will move that to there and see how that looks when it idle moves out. So he is kind of moving. It's the thing with this is that it's like I don't want too much movement here. Where are we here? Because there's a little bit of movement going on there. So let me see. I can't tell if it's natural or if it looks unnatural. So I'm going to be doing a lot of back and forth here. I almost feel like I need to speed it up. So I might speed up the... me see here. So I can't tell if maybe I either, I think I should speed it up a little. Let me think here. I'm at 40. Sometimes you make it too fast. It doesn't look natural either, though. Yeah. Not sure. So like I said, a lot of this is monotonous. You just sort of have to make these kind of decisions here as you go through. How fast can I go with this? Let me think. Maybe it's if I'm transitioning from. I think I'm going to speed this up even more and see what happens. How crazy can we get here with how fast we make this transition? I feel like maybe we can get it to there even. Like even cut it back a little bit. Like I said, it's never going to be perfect, so you just do what you can do. There's a lot of silence in trying to fiddle and make decisions when you're doing this stuff, which isn't terribly exciting for streaming, but I might have to work on this a little bit later to see how this goes. Hey, Shy Times, how you doing? Yeah, I'm gonna. What's this person doing? We're learning. Thank you very much for playing it. I'm starting working on the next one, so I was just doing a quick stream showing how I make digitized sprites just real quickly. And I'm having a hard time with this transition, so it's going to be a lot of me sitting here going, or I don't know if that's I like how that looks. Let me think about it. So this is what I'm doing right now. Because the transition out of this looks good, but then I got to get him to move to that spot a little more naturally. Let me see if maybe I speed up the animation. Yeah, it looks not quite right. I'm almost thinking like if I go longer with it and then just move out the animation slower. Yeah, I know. Someone was asking me to show this stuff. This is like, it's one of these things where, like, I think people think this is more interesting to watch than it actually is, because it's literally just me, like, it's just me going back and forth over and over again with the same clip going, I'm going to make micro adjustments here or there until I finally get fed up and go, okay, good enough. And then print. So this is the journey I am on. That's okay. Actually, stretching out doesn't look too bad. So the full sequence would be, and let me try sticking the actual color correction on this clip and see if that does anything. Yeah, it's not too bad when I put it all together like that. Right, yes, this is behind the scenes of the next game I'm making. Please wait, 6 to 7 years. No, exactly. It's one of these things where it's like the end result's really cool, but the actual process of making it is kind of tedious. And this is like the art of video game making. And I never realized until I made a video game just how much of what you do in making a game is just monotonous. I didn't narrate what I'm doing here. Okay, so for color correction, what I normally do is I make an adjustment layer, and then I'll put a bunch of different stuff on it. I'm doing curves, I'm doing adjusting exposure, all this type of stuff. I already did it, so I just on a previous clip I did, so I just copy and paste what I did, and that's that. So a little simple there. I don't want this stream to be too long or going, because I'm already doing so much minutia with this stuff and boring everyone with me fiddling around with color correction. But that's kind of the end result with the color correction. So what I try to do is just try to get all the yellow out of me, try to make it a little clearer, try to make it a little more, skin liking. I like kind of the headband my character's wearing. I made it pop a little bit when I was adjusting the curves and kind of putting more blue in it. So that's kind of how I did that. So let's see how it looks in the transition with the color. It's actually not too bad. This is like, it's bothering me. It's like he's not quite moving. Nope. Maybe if I'm there. Do it to there. Let's see what happens there. Yeah, it doesn't really change. I think this might be, it's one of these things where I have to be like, it's close enough. I'm really happy with how the transition out happened, or in happens, but I'm not sure how I like the transition out. It's not terrible. This is literally what you do, by the way. You just sit here and watch the thing over and over and over and over again until you finally be like, is it okay? I don't know. I don't know. Well, like I said, it might be one of these things too, because I want to get enough done today. I might just print this, and then I'll see how it looks in the engine. Because it's always going to look a little bit different when you do things in the engine too. That, I might not like or might want to change something else, because a lot of times I go back and like adjust things I did before. I think for this stream, I just kind of want to give you an idea of how I'm doing this stuff. So this one, I'm still not 100% sure in it, and it's bothering me. I'm not sure why it's bothering me. And guys, yeah, exactly. So, I might try to make one more adjustment just because it's like, it's close, but it's not quite where I want it to be. It's like, because my chin is up. It's like when I did this transition out, I like this performance, but I should have had my chin go up at the end, but I didn't do it, so you're having a kind of a quicker motion. But sometimes some things that work, it's like a stupid thing. If you just speed up the footage really fast, it looks better. It like hides your mistakes by just making it go really fast. So let's see what happens if I do that. It might not work, but we'll see. Actually, it's not too bad. It's actually not too bad. I think I'll do that, and we'll see what happens. And we'll see how it looks in the engine when I do that later. It's actually not too bad, though. Yeah, exactly. Oh, God, dude. Like, I was listening to somebody talking about filmmaking, I think, and they were talking about how, like, you make a movie because you have this exciting idea and you're in love with your idea, and then you make it, and by the time it always is a tragedy, because by the time you release the movie, you're so fucking sick of it because you have to watch it over and over and over again making it, and it kind of ruins this. Wow, I had this thing I loved, I put in the world, and now I hate it because I've had to watch it over and over so many times that I can't handle it anymore. It's the same with a game. Every time I made a movie with Insect God, I needed just space after I was finished making it for like a couple months, because I was just like, I can't play this game anymore. I just can't friggin' play it anymore. I'm sure it's gonna be the same with this. Now I can play it and enjoy it a bit more because I've had some distance, but it's just the monotony of doing this like repetitive stuff over and over again. And it's like every step in making a game is stuff like this, where you just have to repetitively do things over and over again. So, as I'm looking at it, it's like you're looking at a picture too much. You have to look away and then look at it. As I'm looking at it, it doesn't look too bad to me now. Maybe it's because I've looked at it enough. So I'm gonna say we'll print this, and then if it doesn't work out, I'll figure something else out later in the engine. But I'm gonna say we're good for now. Now Inside Guy, because the camera I was using, this is one thing I really liked about the mission, the GoPro mission put over the mission 1 here. When I was doing Insect God, the 5D, it wasn't great in low light, and I was like having to do neat video to clean up. I had to like crank up a bunch of stuff in the low light, and then it made all this grain and it wasn't sharp, so I had to like sharpen and do all this stuff in neat video, which ate up tons and tons of time because the rendering of that takes forever. With the mission, it like handled, it's the same lighting system I was using in Inside God, and it's just picking up everything so much better. There's like nothing to degrain. It's really sharp. I'm like really impressed. Yeah, I think it's just like my Josie, who plays Pihala in Inside God, my wife. She's a painter. She's just like, her life is just sitting and looking at little parts of paintings and having the exact same feeling of being like, I hate this painting. I can't look at this anymore. Like, it's driving me insane. But then you have to like look away, step away for a day, and come back and be like, okay, it's not so bad. So. Now I'm looking at without the background there. It doesn't bother me as much too, because it does, when he moves, it does look like it doesn't look like it's being animated. It does look I am shifting my body, and it's intentional. I think the thing that's throwing me, and sometimes this just happens, is like I didn't put my chin up enough in the end transition. But like I said, it's FMV, guys. It's never going to be perfect. It's always going to be a little bit. There's going to be little things that are off. And you kind of have to say, okay, good enough. So we're gonna say that with this, and then if I don't like it when I put in the engine, I will try to adjust something else. I think we're okay. Put that there. Okay, so now you match up. So I'm gonna export now. I'll show you how to do the export, and this is like the big thing. So it's green screened, color corrected. We got our loop. We got our transitions. I kind of batch all this together into one thing. And what I'm gonna do, and this will be another day when I stream it, I'll show that. Because I figured out, which I didn't do in Insect God, like a doofus, but I'm figuring out for this game how to do it. I'm gonna put it in sprite sheets and then make atlases out them, which is going to significantly save me space with memory and memory pools and all that stuff, which I'm very excited about. But I'm gonna make the sprite sheets that have both the transitions and the loop in the end result for the animation, and then I'll just break them up just to reduce the number of stuff putting in the engine. Again, memory pools, trying to manage all that. The less sprite sheets and less sprites you have, to like, you want to make as much as you can with the least amount of sprites that you can. That's kind of the trick, and it's always the hard thing, because when you're doing FMV and digitized sprites, it makes mass sprites, because you figure this is like 24 frames per second, right? So this animation, even though it's only 34 seconds to 35:10. This is 1 second, 1.10 seconds. This is slightly over 1 second long. This will probably be over 30 sprites. Just this one little 1 second animation. So you just mass. Yeah, exactly. That's the hope. With the loading times, exactly. That's something I'd like to get to. I have some other ideas with loading times too from the new game, at least how I can better manage reloading when you die, that I'm going to play with. That's we got to get the animations done first, but that's my hope. That's something I definitely want to try to do a better job with in the next game I make. But anyway, you just make massive amounts of sprites. You have to constantly be managing. Sprite sheets are going to help a lot with that, which I didn't have in Insect God. I couldn't figure out how to make it work. I've done tests. I have figured out how to make it work. There's new like plugins, and people have made stuff that didn't exist, frankly, for Godot, that with Godot 4 that I didn't have in Godot 3 when I started Insect God, that I'm really happy about, that I'm hoping is going to fix a lot of that. So we'll see what happens. No promises, of course, until the game is done, but it's getting me excited. Anyway, so now that we have this whole clip here, and I'll like I said, I'll have this in a single sprite sheet, put it into the engine. I'll show all this in a future stream when I actually do the engine work. Right now, I'm just processing the animation for this one. We'll export this into a PNG sequence. Later, that will go into a sprite sheet, and then the sprite sheet, well, first then we're going to compress it. Then after we compress it, then we'll put it into a sprite sheet. Then we'll put it into the engine, and then we'll compress it again in the engine. So because we're gonna export this as 1080p PNG sequence. So I'm gonna show you how to do that now. This is kind of the trick. This is like the secret to basically getting digitized sprites, FMV digitized sprites. You go to your file, you go to export, add to render queue. You want to do specifically add to render queue. If you're using Adobe, there's two different ways you can export things. One is the render queue, one is the media encoder. I've always do this in render queue, which renders it right in After Effects. I think when you do media encoder, it may not have this option. Believe me, I sit in terror every day that some future version of a Photoshop or of Adobe is going to get rid of this option. So please, God, never let that happen. Knock on wood. Praying to Insect God. The secret here though is you click first where it says high quality and comp name and all that stuff in the settings, output module. Click where it says the high quality. Your format is going to be PNG sequence. Yeah, exactly. Oh, dude, like it's it's terrifying. PNG sequence right there. Then where it says RG channels, you change RGB to RGB and alpha. That's going to export everything as a transparent PNG image. Then, because I want this, no, I didn't do this in Insect God because I filmed in 1080p, but I want this to be, this was filmed in 4K, so I'm going to go to resize, and I'll resize this to 1080p. Okay, and then this is all you need to do here. Then click OK. Then you're going to go to your output. And this is, and I just have this is where I'm storing all the files, so I'm going to make a new folder here. And it will say surprised. And like I said, I'm breaking this up into light, medium, heavy, so this will be light. So surprised, light, this character, under this character. I will name it something I can remember what this is, so we'll say this is the character's name. Spoiler alert. This is his close-ups. And then this, the emotion, which is surprise, and if it's a light, medium, heavy. So truck close-ups, surprise, light, and then this little number thing you just leave there because they'll add numbers for every image that pops out. And then you save that, and then you render that. Should only take a second. Okay, so there we go. So then what you're going to do, and I have this already prepped here, you can see what we just did. So surprise, I'll go into this file we just made, and it makes this little folder here. And as you can see, this is every frame of the animation we just did as a individual PNG image. So there's one, there's two. You can kind of see the whole thing. It's like a flip. It's like literally like a animated sprite sheet. This is how I do it. So then what I'm going to do with these, well, like I said, I'm going to put them in sprite sheets like a normal. Now it's basically just the same thing as if you're making a normal sprite-based game, right? It's just you're using these photographs, and it makes like a little flip sheet for you. And I'll take these, put them into a little program that makes a sprite sheet, which I'll show probably in another stream, and then you put that into the engine, and then it's going to export all that and attach with this plugin I have. I'll show you how to use it in Godot. It'll make an atlas, so you just have one. You're just uploading one individual sprite sheet, but it'll still, within the engine, treat it as if each individual sprite is its own thing, even though it's not, which is what you want. And then you just treat it the same way you would treat a normal, pixel sprite or hand-drawn sprite or whatever it is. It's just you're using a photograph. So that's basically how I do it. This is like the biggest secret weapon step to doing the digitized sprites is you do your After Effects. I know people use things other than After Effects. I'm like an Adobe guy, so I only know like Photoshop and After Effects. So this is the only way I know how to do this. There might be other programs or After Effects like programs that lets you do things like this. I just don't know how to use them. But you can, if anybody else, or watching the playback of this on a future YouTube video are knows, want to add a comment or something about like, oh yeah, you can do something like this in this program that's like a different company's After Effects or something like that, by all means leave that in there if people want to know how to do it. But effectively, that's the big thing. The biggest thing to remember while I'm doing all this other stuff is just you take your footage, you green screen it out, and then when you go to render it, you got to do, oh, hang on, I'll just repeat it for everyone. Export, you got to go PNG sequence, and then RGB and alpha. That's the big thing. PNG sequence, RGB, and alpha. You need the alpha, because if you just do RGB, it'll just be like it won't be transparent. You need it to be transparent to work in the engine. So, okay. I think that's it. I've been streaming for like almost an hour now, and that's kind of all I really wanted to show. I'm going to break these up going forward. I figure, once I get through the kind of all the close-ups, I'll put them in the engine and I'll show it kind of like how to actually load things into the engine once we get into Godot and how to make the sprite sheets and all that stuff. Some of it's going to be me learning how to do this too, so that'll be good to show. But that's the basic idea, and I think I will probably end things there, and then I'll do future streams. It'll probably be weeks before I get doing another one for this specifically. It'll probably just be impromptu like I'm doing now, but I hope this is helpful for people either watching Shy Times. I know you're the only one watching, but I hope it was interesting for you. And people watching the replays and everything on YouTube. I hope it was interesting to you as well. If anyone's watching and not chatting, we are hoping to do Monday just a stream on the Chunkle Freaky Twitch and YouTube channel. It'll be Jungle Freak. We're already streaming regularly on Twitch, or have been. Thank you, Shy Times. And then we're switching over though with our streaming now that we beat Insect God in our streams to doing it at the Chunkle Freaky YouTube page on the live tab. And we're gonna be my plan. I have to get it working to see if I can figure it out. Is I really want to go and do a stream of us playing Rise of the Dragon, which is, you guys can go look this up. It's an old point and click adventure game from a company called Dynamics, which was a subsidiary of Sierra back in the 90s. And I had a Sega CD, and I played the living crap out of this game when I was a kid, and I want to do a little bit of sentimental nostalgia play and going back and playing one of these OG point and click adventure games I used to love on the Sega CD. So we're hoping to do that. Yeah, I love them too. In fact, I recommend if you're into reading books at all, definitely check out Ken Williams' Not All Fairy Tales Have Happy Endings book about like the wild times of the rise and fall of Sierra. I grew up with Sierra games, so highly recommend it. It's a good read if you're looking for, like, if you're interested in like business books, like, dramatic stories about businesses and things like that. It's actually a really good one. It's basically his autobiography, more or less, about Sierra. So definitely recommend. Okay, and that's about it. We'll be back, like I said. We'll probably stream on Monday. I think we'll probably try to do around 8 o'clock. It's Monday at 8 just seems like our time, so we'll be doing that. And we'll hopefully play Rise of the Dragon, and hopefully be doing another one of these. I'll do another one of these streams, showing the engine, like I said, when I get to that point in the process. So thank you guys. As I said, if you haven't picked up Insect God, check out Obey the Insect God on Steam, and really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys later. Thanks.